don't do that. He says, let your yes be yes. That's even harder. To make everything you say be true, and yes, I'll do this, and then make it happen. That's even harder. But the thing is that just because you've broken your promises, it doesn't mean that you can't stand up and start over again. And it doesn't mean that if God gives you a new day, that there's not new mercy for every day you wake up. Every day you wake up. One of my closest friends last night was in a car accident. She was pulling out of her apartment. She always does every day, a normal thing to do. And a cop was coming down the road with his headlights off for some reason at 90 miles an hour. T-boned her and her best friend. And that's not, it doesn't make sense that she should have survived that, but both of my friend's arms were broken and she got a concussion and they were carefully to the hospital. She's very young. She's a very young girl. She's in surgery today. And I just think, what a miracle. I just cried when I heard that and I was like, thank you God for saving my friend's life. The truth is that if that was her last day, then we can't argue with that. That's her last day. God saved her and spared her from that, but the truth is, everyone is going to die. You just don't know when you're going to die. You don't know how or when that's going to happen. And that's, the thing is, that shook me and showed me again, life is fragile, not just for yourself, but for everybody that's around you. And the thing is, I just was like, God, does she, I wish I could be there so I could hug her and tell her I love her. And I hope she knows how much I care about her. I feel like her family doesn't do a good job of that. And I just wanted to be there for her to say, I'm so glad that you're alive. And if you don't have somebody to tell you that today, I want you to know that I'm so glad you're alive today here. I'm so glad that you made it this far. And the reason why isn't an accident. It's not an accident that you're here tonight. People, the death rate is 100%. Everyone's gonna die. And that's what's, and it's so precious. If you haven't told somebody you love them, that you need to tell them. If you haven't forgiven somebody, you need to forgive them. It's not even their problem, it's yours. If you're not forgiving somebody you need to forgive, you need to do that for yourself, for your own sake, because they may not even be carrying it, but you're the one holding it, and that's ruining your life. If you don't believe that, it will come up some other time, and it will ruin you. And the reason why you need to forgive somebody is so that you can be free. That person doesn't have any hold on you. It's really hard for me. I have a lot of people in my life that I've been hurt by, but mostly, and I think I've forgiven them all, but it's harder to forgive somebody who's hurt your loved ones. But that still is important to do. You have to forgive them too. When we went to Rwanda, this woman that took us around this country in Africa, she said, this man killed my mother and my father and all of my brothers and sisters, and I hated him. And the country said that they wanted me to forgive him. And I was like, I can't do that. I want to make revenge. I'm going to go kill his wife and children. This sane, beautiful, smart woman said she was going to kill this man. That's how angry she was. But she said something that startled me, and I'm like, well, how can you? She ended up forgiving this guy and taking care of him when he got sick and taking him to the hospital. This guy who killed her mother and brother and her brothers and sisters and her father. And I was like, how could you do that? And she's like, well, you either choose to follow Jesus or you don't. Oh, that hit me so hard. I was like, wow, that's intense. But you could see that she was not holding anything. You meet somebody whose mother was killed and father and all of their brothers and sisters, they're the only survivor, and you're probably going to meet somebody who has some issues. But she had not one issue. She was the most amazing woman because she had been freed and healed and forgiven, and she was living an amazing life, and she was impacting so many people for amazing things because she had risen above that and become so beautiful because she had come through that suffering on top of it. And I was like so blown away. I'm like, again, I'm like, place to be. But I just remember during those times, even after I was a Christian, not wanting to wake up, and God saying, your life is not your own. I bought it with a price. And He's like, you will die one day. Don't worry. You will die one day. If I've given you another day, wait through it. I've got something planned for you. It's so awesome. And how would I have known it was this? I grew up in a really poor family with 6 kids. My mom was a single mom. We got made fun of in school because we had really crappy clothes and we never had money to buy stuff like all the other kids, and we got picked on a lot. And who would have known God looked over the whole earth, went to this big city in Arlington, Texas, went down in the whole population into this 1-bedroom apartment with 6 kids in it, and I'm second in line, and He's like, I'm gonna use you. And at 16 years old, I wanted to take my life, and He said, no, I'm not gonna let you do that. I have something for you. I didn't even believe in God. I was actually very anti-God at the time, anti-Jesus especially. And He saw past all that and said, I understand why you're that way, but what you've seen of me is not the real me. I'm love, and I love you just the way you are. You don't have to make yourself perfect to come to me. I want you just like you are, with all of your hatred and all of your ugliness. And I was like, no one ever told me that. Why didn't I ever hear that about you? I thought you were going to send me to hell, and you're waiting to do that, to zap me with a bolt of lightning. I never heard that you love me just like I am, even when I make mistakes. And He's like, that's who I am. You don't know me, but I want you to. I want you to know me. So, this song is about how sometimes we go through things and we break our promises, but God uses everything and works it together for good. If you just get through it, you can get through it, and then He's going to work that out for good. And He'll comfort you so you can comfort someone else.